Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ananya Dixit, and I would like to welcome all of you on the behalf of CSI BIT Durg student chapter. With an increasing number of users, devices, and programs in the modern enterprise, combined with the increased deluge of data, much of which is sensitive and confidential, the importance of cybersecurity continues to grow. Today's session is on ethical hacking and cybersecurity. And we have with us Ansh Bhawnani sir, who is an application security engineer at ICE Data Services Private Limited. He also has a YouTube channel named Bitten Tech, which has over 2 lakh subscribers, where he talks about technical things and cybersecurity. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for this introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining, and I hope you're all having a good day. So today we are going to have a session on ethical hacking and cybersecurity, which is not a very popular road taken in the field of computer science. So let me just share my screen.
So if you all are ready, let's dive into this informative session with Ansh sir. Sir, please take it forward from here.
Sure, thank you. Okay, can someone confirm? Can you please confirm that my screen is visible?
Sir, can you please turn your camera on? Okay, thank you, sir.
Is my screen visible?
No, sir. Yes, sir, now it is visible.
Okay, perfect. So today's session is based on the roadmap to cybersecurity. So what I mean by that is we should talk about what is ethical hacking, what is cybersecurity, essentially what is the difference between the two, because people confuse in both of these terms. They use it in the combined manner, but it's actually very different. So I'll talk about that, the basic introduction to what we do, what I do in this field, in this industry, what is a hacker, what he does, and what's the portrait that you have in your mind about a hacker, and it's not true. So we'll bust all the myths here, and I'll talk about how can you make a career out of cybersecurity, because it's a very booming career field. And as you all might know that in the past couple of years, there are many recent cyber attacks, data breaches, and all types of cyber wars going on between countries and governments, organizations. So it's very critical to know about what's going on and how can you protect the cyberspace against these notorious hackers and attackers from all over the world, and live in a secure cyberspace and contribute to the society for a better internet. So let's just move forward. So I have this code that I like a lot. It's actually coming from an operating system that hackers use very commonly. It's called Kali Linux, and this is the signature code for that Linux. The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. It means that uh, the more you hear, the more you listen, or the more you pay attention to someone else's work or what he is trying to do, what his approach is, what his mindset and his thought process is, you will be able to know how he thinks. You will be able to know how he solves a problem, he applies logic, and what his strengths and weaknesses are. So that's our focus. The mindset of a hacker is different from a developer. Most of you who are in computer science background and who want to do a career, pursue a career in computer science, you might be thinking like you have to become a developer or a software engineer or a data scientist or machine learning or AI or big data, etc. But this field, cybersecurity, has not been explored much. So that's what I do through my content creation and YouTube channel. So we'll talk about that. So this quote has a very deep meaning into that. So the objectives of this session is to know what is ethical hacking, of course, and what is cybersecurity and the difference between them. and I'll talk the road. How can you do a career? What all should you learn? What all should you take care of? The soft skill, the technical skills, etc. Proper guidance into starting into cybersecurity. And why do you choose this? Why there is a need of cybersecurity? I think it's obvious for most of the people who are working in computer science, but it's very less known and people are very less aware about. And the generation gap is also present. And also about the skill development, as I said, not only technical skills but also the soft skills that I might face back when I started, and I experienced that there's a need of all those things. So I'll talk about that, and if there's time, we can also talk, take your questions and talk about the answers. So a little bit about myself. So basically, I'm an application security engineer working in ICE Data Services. It's a US-based financial services company, and I'm a BTech graduate from BIT Durg, 2020 batch. So I'm specialized in computer science and engineering. I'm also a certified ethical hacker. This is a certification that you can do in this field. And I've also done penetration tester certificate, GPEN, from SANS Institute. It's a very renowned institute for certifications in this field. And I'm also a Red Hat certified Linux administrator, RHCSA. So I'm a YouTuber, most commonly known as Pitten Tech. People don't know my name very often, but they do call me as Pitten. I don't know, but you should know my name. So I'm also a cybersecurity trainer, researcher, and most of my work revolves around cybersecurity. I teach people, I train them, I guide them, I counsel them, and I do a lot of stuff. I do take workshops, I do take seminars in many colleges and organizations. And I also love playing games because I don't have much time nowadays, but I try a lot. There's also one more quote that I like, that to become a hacker, you need to think like one. So this is all about mindset. As I said, as I told you, that a developer thinks how to create things, how to apply recursion, how to apply a loop, how to create modules and create libraries and deploy the code, etc. But a hacker is a different person. He thinks how to break a code. So you might need to think like that. How a logic is applied, how things are being created. If I notice a functionality like file upload, maybe say in PHP, so what do you use in that? You use some post request, you upload the file to the server, you take the file from the global variables like dollar files, and you write the file onto the server. But if I think like a hacker, what would I think is that if I can upload an arbitrary file, if I can upload a PHP file, you can say, and if I can view that file, will the content type be text plain, or will the content type be text HTML? Will the file be uploaded and executed? Will the file be downloaded or not? So all these type of things are the mindset. Like, what can you think? What can you do to break the code, to bypass a functionality, or to make it work abnormally that's not expected as per the documentation? That's where a hacker comes in. That's where all the attacks are working. Developers leave loopholes, they leave vulnerabilities in their code, issues in their code, and they don't focus on secure coding. And that's why we have our work. That's why our career is booming. So let me ask you a question. If I ask you who is a hacker, just create an image in your mind. I'll wait for 5 seconds. Just create an image in your mind, and just don't tell me, and just think about it. What comes in your mind? What do you perceive from a hacker? If I tell this word, if I ask this word to you, I'll change the slide and I'll try to read your mind, what you might be thinking. So these type of images usually come in people's minds when they think of a hacker. Very dark background, a person wearing a hoodie with a command line interface with many monitors and many screens, trying to do something suspicious, trying to hack the world. And it doesn't look like any professional stuff. So why this came into your mind? I know that there are exceptions. People might know already what an ethical hacker does, but generally this is the conception. The main culprit is Google, the social media. The way they portray a task or the image of a hacker is like this. If you search on Google, who is a hacker, you will get these type of images. And this is not our fault, because of this, most of the people just are not able to start a career in this field because they don't get support, they don't get guidance. Their parents think like a hacker is a criminal. He is no less than that. That's where the problem comes in, and that's where I try to spread awareness. I try to spread guidance of how can you make a career. It's not bad. Not every hacker is a criminal. Not every hacker is a thief. Okay. So this is a common conception, like I told. What do people think about a hacker? If I tell you who is a hacker, he steals Facebook password. I get many messages every day, or you might be encountering all of this at some point in your life, in your serious career, like how to steal a Facebook password, how to get an Instagram password, how to hack Instagram, how to hack WhatsApp, Facebook, etc. That's what people think a hacker does, because I tell you I'm an ethical hacker, so I can hack your Wi-Fi password, I can hack your uh, mobile password, or I can open your mobile lock file. I'm a CS student. Obviously, if I'm a hacker, I should be a CS student. It's the case that many people think, like if you take commerce, if you take arts, if you take bio, you can't be a hacker. It's a misconception. And people who play games, like back in the days, we had Clash of Clans, Subway Surfers that were very popular when Android was new, when smartphones were new, when we played a lot of games in your smartphones. So there was a there was a need that I can play the games without any restrictions, without any restrictions that the server has put in, that the developer has put in, unlimited coins, unlimited gems, and unlimited money, etc. How can we do that? Are we able to do that? Can it be done? The modding and cracking of games, how it's done? So it's the task of a hacker. But what if it's everything that he does? It's not everything that he does. There are many more things. And there's a popular meme, like when you talk about a hacker, he's able to hack NASA with HTML, but it's not possible. It may be possible at some point if there is a serious issue in the code, but that's all technical. You can't just expect to hack something or gain access to a system or a software with just a couple of clicks or 4 to 5 code, or just copy pasting anything and pressing a button. There's no such thing like that. That is not hacking. That is just deception. And hacker is not a terrorist, just to remind you. Bad hackers are a terrorist, good hackers are not. So why I chose this word hacker? I'm not a hacker. I don't call myself a hacker. I may call myself a ethical hacker, but it's also not a good thing to talk about. I call myself as a security engineer. I call myself as a penetration tester, or security researcher, cybersecurity analyst, etc. But why I chose hacker is that you might be familiar with that. You have heard about this term. You have some idea about this. But when I talk about initially penetration tester, you might not know about it because it's a professional term. So I started with what you already know, and I'm going to a path that is less traveled, that you should know about, and that's what my work is. So the correct definition, or the formal definition of a hacker, is he uses his skills, his talent, his knowledge, expertise, experience to gain unauthorized access to a software. It may be a computer, it may be a network, it may be anything that is valuable in terms of digital space. Maybe a computer storing a data, maybe a network that he tries to gain access to, because first you need to gain access to a network, and then you can go onto a computer, and then onto a particular software. And it depends on the way it is distributed. It depends on the infrastructure, what you might be hacking first. But he tries to gain unauthorized access to a software. I'm telling a general definition, but we will go into more detail afterwards. So he uses his own tools and techniques. It's not necessary. There are many tools, there are many open source tools and technologies that are already created that can help you in your task, to uh, to ease your task, to ease your exploitation. But you will not rely on them, because programming is important in this case. So I will talk about that later. And this thing has to be very much stressed, that it's not always bad. Hacking is not always bad. There is a distinction. There are black hat hackers and there are white hat hackers. The black means all the illegal activities. What black hat hackers does is he tries to hack a system, gain access to a system without the permission of the owner, and tries to do something bad, and tries to do some financial loss, or take some revenge, or do blackmailing, etc. So he's black, and he's not good. So for preventing black hat hackers, what organizations, what companies do is they try to hire white hat hackers. So white hat hackers is who tries to gain unauthorized access to a system in the same way a black hat hacker does. He tries to simulate a black hat hacker activity, but the difference is he tries to report to the owner before taking an advantage, before taking any type of exploitation into work and causing a loss of any type to the owner or the company or organization. That's the difference between a black hat and a white hat hacker. So you should aim to become a white hat hacker, not a black one. So what we do is we try to test the systems for software issues, security issues, and when we find them, we report to the owner so that he can fix it, and it will prevent the black ones to take advantage in the same way. So that's what we do. And if you do it bad, if you try to steal money, if you try to steal some password or blackmail anyone or do some illegal activity without the permission of the owner, you can go to prison. You may be fined. There's no good in that. You might be hearing that this IT Act has come into play for a very long time, and the laws are very strict now, because you don't get bail in this type of situations where you are caught hacking illegally. So please stay away from that. But if you become a white hat hacker, you can earn millions of dollars even by finding a simple security bug. And there are always news one or the other day that this guy has found a security issue in Facebook or Google or Amazon, Apple, etc., and they're earning in millions. Like for a single bug, you can almost earn around $50,000 or even $100,000 for the most severe bug. So it's the case, but it's not very easy. I'll talk about that, but you can do that. So up to this point, I have talked about a hacker, ethical hacking, etc. So what is cybersecurity? You should make a career in cybersecurity, not ethical hacking. Ethical hacking is not a career. Ethical hacking is not a renowned job position that you will find in your job posting site like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, etc. Cybersecurity analyst, cybersecurity engineer is the job posting. So you should know what is cybersecurity and what is the relation between ethical hacking and cybersecurity. So when I talk about ethical hacking, it is a task or it is a set of procedures that we perform that is a part of cybersecurity. So cybersecurity involves testing a system offensively and try to report bugs and then try to mitigate them and fix them and prevent it from happening again on a defensive side. So it involves both offensive and defensive phases. And offensive side is called ethical hacking. So ethical hacking is a part of cybersecurity. It is the application of technologies, processes, controls, etc. to protect systems before a black hat adversary or an attacker takes advantage of it and steals millions of worth of data and disrupt devices and cause huge losses to businesses and organizations, as we might be hearing recently. So the main purpose is to protect all digital assets an organization has, both from external and internal threats. So a threat might be external and it might also be an internal. Like think of a situation like you work in a company and at some point you resign and then go to a different company. But you know a lot about the internal functioning or the procedures or the policies of the previous company. So you can easily draft or craft an attack for the previous company, different than who is not a part of it, who has never been a part of it. So that is called an insider threat. When you're working in a company, you know about it internally and you take advantage of it. You leak information to the outside, you expose the confidential data outside. That is also a threat. So when we talk about cybersecurity, it involves all the security processes revolving around a digital system, revolving around a computer. There is also a term called information security. Information security means cybersecurity plus information on paper, information on physical systems. Like cybersecurity doesn't involve security in information systems who are at physical level. So it doesn't involve that. It only involves online systems or digital systems, etc. So when I talk about cybersecurity, there are many fields, there are many branches into that. Like computer science has ML, AI, data science, big data, graphic designing, etc. Cybersecurity too has a lot of fields inside that. Application security, endpoint, mobile. You decide what do you want to choose, where do you want to go, because first you need to know what each one does, what's the expectations on each field. But I will tell you, in today's world, cloud security, IoT, application security, all are at boom. And in the next 5 to 10 years, you can expect a lot of exponential growth into these fields, because with the advent of Web 3.0, we are also witnessing the growth in crypto exchanges, cryptocurrencies, blockchains, etc. All these fields will be booming in the next 5 to 10 years. So these are the fields you should target inside cybersecurity. But there are many more, like uh, digital forensics, incident response, etc. All of these are also booming. So now I will talk about the roadmap to cybersecurity. What should you need to know? What all things you should learn about cybersecurity, and how can you make a career on it? From the very basics, you don't know anything about it. You just know the need. You just know the right definition, but how to start? What's the guidance for it? And I may be stressing on this term, why to learn cybersecurity, because you already know that black hat hackers are at rise, and at any point of time you may also be hacked. It's not just a big company, it's not just an organization, not just a country, government, etc. Hackers also target individual users to just take revenge or just have fun trolling you or any other person. I know you don't have much confidential or much valuable data to hide as compared to a company or a big MNC, etc. But it's no harm to stay safe online, because if you're online, you are vulnerable. That's the fact. So first things first, what should you know? Like, not the technical part. Before you start into this, I need you to know something. Some things that you should ask yourself. Why? I told you already why you should start it, but personally you ask yourself, is your situation like that? Do you want to pursue a career in cybersecurity? Do you know its pros and cons? Because I don't only talk about the pros. I may tell you there are millions of job vacancies. You can earn in millions. You can even get 10 LPA, 20 LPA, 30 LPA when you start in 2 3 years. But I'll not talk only about that. I know all these are true, but I will also talk about the cons, because I want you to have a clear picture before you start, because I don't want you to give up without doing actually something good. So ask yourself, is your mind ready to take the challenge? Is your mind ready to think like that, to think like a hacker, to think differently like a developer? Because there is a conflict. When you are a developer, when you develop applications, when you code, you think like how to approach a problem, how to implement a functionality, how to code, how to take arguments, how to create endpoints and APIs, etc. But it is very different to what a hacker thinks. So just think about it. Spend your time at peace. Ask people who already are in this field, what do they do, what's their daily work, and understand the need, because there is a high need. I will tell you that every 35 seconds there is a hack attack throughout the world. At any point of time, in any region, there is a hacking attack every 35 seconds, according to a recent report. And cybersecurity industry, it is predicted, according to a report, that it will grow up to $14 billion only in India by 2025. And it's still in an exponential growth. Nowadays we have approximately $3 billion of industry at present in 2022, but it's expected to grow very fast. And the thing to know is, it's not easy. Like, I'll tell you, when you code something, you know a language. Like, for example, if you are a full stack developer, you code in React for front end, you code in Node for back end, and you learn MongoDB. But for becoming a hacker or starting a career in cybersecurity, you need to know all of them, whether PHP, let it be Java, Python, Node, Perl, C Sharp, everything. Because you will not get only one app that's based on one technology. You will get a lot of applications to test, and they are not made in just one signal technology. You need to learn everything, and it's a very steep learning curve from the starting if you don't know anything. But as you grow, you will learn everything that you know, because the only thing that's important is logic. The syntax, the code, the uh, the uh, the syntax is not important. The paradigm is important. How you implement coding, how you implement, how the loops work, how recursion works, how classes, objects work. All of this is important. But at the deep level, I must say, I accept that coding, programming is important if you start in this field, whether you are a developer or you are a hacker. or you are a security researcher. And you should know, first of all, what your interest is. I don't want you to get forced and just listen to everyone that there is a huge noise and buzz around this field. You should start this just for a fascination. People start because of fascination. I also started because of fascination. Like, I loved cracking games. I love playing at thousands of coins that I might not be having if I don't know this skill. But I tried to hack Facebook. I tried to do phishing. That was very entertaining. That was very interesting. But that's not hacking. That's not career based. But what's career based that I have learned in the past few years, I'll tell you. But it's not easy. So you should know your interest, what you like and what you don't like, to start in this. So that's what I told you. Why cybersecurity? Because developers are creating mistakes. They are creating mistakes. Man, as long as he's coding, as long as there is manual coding, man will make mistakes. And when man makes mistakes, another man exploits it. And that another man is a hacker. So as long as you develop manually, there will be code, there will be flaws. And even after that, even after AI takes over the code, AI is not built up to assess or to know a particular system design. For example, I work in a company. I develop applications according to the policy, according to our infrastructure, according to our design. He doesn't know our design. He need to be trained first. He need to be trained for years to understand our requirement, our design, our architecture. So there will also be flaws. There will also be code, different types of issues in AI. But at, like, you can say, for the next 10 years, there is no solution. There is no clear path that AI will take over manual coding. So you can say that cybersecurity is important. So now, to talk about all the specific skills that you might be knowing, to get familiar with this, first of all, you should know the basics, the very basics. The base of a building is the most important thing. You can go as high you can as possible, but you should not ignore the basics. Everything that's taught in your college, everything that's taught in your degree, whether it be B or BTech or BCA, everything is important. Like, learn the basics of working, how a hardware works, how a software is integrated to a hardware, how a kernel is designed, how everything works in unison, in harmony, how the IO systems for processing, the CPU processing, memory allocation or disk management, memory management, all of this works. We are all taught in our colleges, or also you can learn or your own. Google has been a lot of help to all of us. Internet, take the advantage of internet, use it in the right way, learn everything. Ask your mentors, ask your teachers, how does this thing work? Even if you don't understand it, you got everything in your hands for this. And the most important thing for learning ethical hacking is to learn networking. Without networking, nothing is possible, because you will not be hacking yourself sitting on your own system. You will be connecting to a target, whether maybe your local network or a remote network or over WAN or internet, anything. So systems need to be connected. That's where networking comes in. And even in networking, it's not important to learn the physical aspects, like uh, physical layer, data link layer. It's not that important. But up to the top, like application, TCP/IP, and network layer, all of these are very important. And most important is the network or the internet, international network, the web, HTTP. It's the most important thing, because websites are more common than mobile applications. They are more common than APIs. They're more common than desktop applications, and they have a lot of attack vectors in websites. So learn in deep what is HTTP, how does it work, all the methods, all the methodology, all the uh, request response protocols, the infrastructure, servers, databases, etc. And all the other things like DNS comes with HTTP. Uh, Web servers also a part of HTTP, FTP, SMTP, etc. Every service that a server runs needs to be studied, which can lead to the compromise, any type of thing. So under that, there is routing and switching, domain systems, devices, types of routers, ARP, TCP/IP. When you are looking at network security, all these are important. But for application security, you should focus on the application layer. So there are many fields and many specific things that I can talk about. But the most common thing that are required for any type of field that I am listing here. So operating system, I'll tell you that for an ethical hacker, Windows is not that important. He uses Linux most of the time, because Most popular operating system for web servers, for workstations is Linux, whether maybe Red Hat or any distribution you talk about. But Linux in general, the kernel is important. Uh, and I told you that the favorite operating system of a hacker is a Kali Linux or Parrot or Red Hat, maybe anything. But I don't have any specifications on that. I will also use Ubuntu for my task. There is no difference. There is no difference on Windows too. You can also do testing on Windows, even on Android, but you should have a working workstation, a desktop to carry on your attacks, because you cannot do all of this in your mobile phones. It's not possible. But for testing Android systems, but for testing applications made on iOS, Android, you will need the devices to work upon. So that's a different case. But yeah, learn about Windows. You already know that you are using it from a long time, since you got computers in your home, since your childhood. You know Windows. But in that level, how PowerShell works. What is PowerShell? What's the difference between PowerShell and command prompt? What is Active Directory? How Windows servers are managing the company's environment? Uh, how the servers are being set up in Linux? What are proxies? What are load balancers, etc.? All of these things, technical things, need to be studied in deep at first, at basic level. These are the basic things. But as I said, if you want to be a hacker, there is no escaping from programming. People see programming as an escape to hacking, but that's not a case. How will you able to break the code when you're not able to read it? You will you will need to read it first of all. So you need to have a general idea about how programming works. You will need to have a computer science background. I'm not saying a computer science degree, not to be misleaded. You can also you can also take commerce. You can also take arts or any type of degree, or even finance or business. You can come into hacking. You can learn hacking, but the mindset of a hacker comes directly from a CS background. Sorry. So for the general coding, I might suggest that C++ is the one to go, because in C you will learn the basic programming fundamentals, all the things you should learn in C, because Python, Ruby, all are high level. Uh, Underlying in the depth, Python works on C. Python calls the C libraries to work, interact with the API or the hardware level. But yeah, if you want to ease your task or automate something or do a script, you can use Python. But if you want to learn programming, start with C, C++, or Java. As I said, for script writing, you can learn Ruby or Perl, but that are not very popular or famous. But the most famous is the Python, so you can learn that. And for web application pen testing, that I call penetration testing as a short form, like pen testing as a short form of penetration testing. So web app testing should be done in JavaScript, PHP. JavaScript is the most common scripting language in front end. Not any library, not any framework, just the pure vanilla JavaScript. And PHP on the back end, it's very old, it's very legacy, I know, but still there are applications who are running on PHP and they are vulnerable. And PHP has a lot of issues. Once you get an app in PHP, you are lucky that you will get issues very easily. And with PHP comes databases, or with logic layer comes databases on the back end. So SQL or even NoSQL has issues. So you can learn first SQL, then you can go on to NoSQL if you want. And for Java server pages, you can learn JSP. For Microsoft applications, you can learn ASP.NET also. And also Python is also in the back end, like for example, some framework like Flask or Django. But yeah, it involves Python, so you can learn that. I'm not saying you should learn all of this at first. I'm just focusing on the underlined languages. Like for general coding, first learn C, then come on to Python. If you know how program works and you just want to ease your task, just learn JavaScript. And for shell scripting, learn Bash, because we work in Linux. Every attacking machine, every attacking library or tool is mostly made on Linux. So you should learn Linux and the shell programming for Linux. That's Bash, the current shell. And if you work on Kali, the system or the language is Z shell, ZSH at this point, but it just is similar to the Bash, so there's no much difference. And after you learn all of this, you can start learning all the other things on the requirement basis. Like if you encounter an app in PHP, you should learn PHP after that. Only the specific function, only the specific library that's used or the code that's used specifically, not the whole language, not the whole course, not the whole tutorial. Just learn that thing specifically. And for the study part, I will recommend you to study yourself. That's called self-learning. But if you do a specified or a specialized course in cybersecurity or even in computer science, that's very valuable. That's recommended, because when you just start into this field, you don't know what all to learn, what all to search for. So the first thing that you need to know is to know what to know. That is important. So these courses will teach you. Like you can also do BTech in specialized courses like cybersecurity in many colleges in India. There are many colleges, I will name it as NFSU from Ahmedabad, or Amrita Peetam University, or even SRM has the courses in cybersecurity. And even you can do in computer science. There's not much difference, because ethical hacking is not taught in any university as a specialized course, because you cannot learn hacking anywhere professionally. You should have to learn it yourself. So you can also do postgraduate courses if you are doing BTech in some other field. You can do the postgrad in cybersecurity. All the universities are same. They provide post-graduation PGs in cybersecurity, or you can even do diploma courses, even distant learning on this. There are many universities for that. And the last and not the least, it's the art of Googling. Once you know what you should know, then you can just Google and learn by yourself. There is no need to go to any university to learn it, or any course, any specialized, very expensive courses to learn from. No need of that. You can just Google. Google has everything. Just use it for the right way, and you will be good. You'll learn everything from Google. And I talked about all the fields that you have in cybersecurity, but this one is different. I'm talking about what are the job positions in cybersecurity. Job positions vary from the fields because the terminology used is different that the companies use, because you will not get any ethical hacking post by the name of ethical hacking anywhere when you search for jobs. So just be specific. I'll talk about the surface level about all the these is the job positions. So security engineer or analyst is a very general term. We don't define any specialized position, any profile like application security, cloud security. But when you talk about application security engineer, we deal with applications like web application, Android application, and desktop application called as thick clients. So our task is to integrate security solutions into the pipeline, into the deployment pipeline, like we use for continuous integration, continuous deployment, CI/CD, in the development of code, deployment of code, the IT operations. So we integrate security solutions. We scan the code as per the builds. Whenever there is a new commit, whenever there is a change or a new release to an application, we integrate it to the pipeline to automate the task. So that is called DevSecOps. So that is what we do. And we also do manual pen testing, the manual penetration testing, all by hands, with using some tools, doing it manually, finding security flaws. And we have a particular time period of engagement. We try to learn about the application first. We try to know how it works. What is the workflow? What are the functionalities? What's the tech stack or the underlying platform it's working on? All of these things need to be known first. Then we can start the testing. Then we can create the attack vectors by knowing the attack surface first. That is what we do. And we create reports after that. That is very important, because we need to show it to the non-technical people, the management, the developers, those who don't know the technical stuff that we know. So we need to create in layman terms the reports, the summaries in a proper format, and make them accept their faults, their mistakes, and let them fix it. And then we retest it. And if we feel that it's fixed, we approve it. That's the methodology that I follow specifically. And it's more or less the same for other penetration testing profiles. For a forensic investigator, it's like when a crime has happened, after the crime, the postmortem is done. So the postmortem in digital means is forensic investigator, digital forensics. So seizing all the devices like hard disk, USB drives, whatever is involved in the attack, We seize it, we make an image and try to recover all the data, and all the processes, all the procedures involved are under digital forensics. Penetration tester, as I told you, that's the task of doing manual pen testing in an offensive manner. Security consultant, it's the profile that will guide you or advise you the best practices for securing systems, for developing policies according to your system design, according to your architecture in your company. That's what he does. And the red team focuses on infrastructure testing, the network security or the networks or the infrastructure or the platform where the applications are deployed at a deeper level. Malware analyst is the one who tries to dissect a malware and tries to know why it is a malware, what does it do, what's the malicious thing that it does. Because a malware doesn't come saying that it's a malware, it comes as a trojan, it comes as a legitimate software. Like I'm installing a Chrome application that is not coming from the official store of Chrome, but someone else has told you that install this. How would I know that it's actually a Chrome, it's actually the genuine software that I want to install? So I will track this, I will reverse engineer the malware and try to know what's the code inside that. That's what the antivirus system do. So all the antivirus companies like 𝐂𝐒, K7, etc., McAfee, they hire this malware analyst to improve their antivirus definitions. And SOC is a defensive job. You try to track or trace all the activities or the malicious activities that's happening on your network. You look at the screen, all the logs are in front of you, all the packet data, all the network all the network data is in front of you in real time, and you assess if there is anything suspicious. And when you find some attack like of signature packets, you report it to the system, you report your to the manager, to the administrator, and you create an alarm and do the incident response, what to respond in this case. That's where incident responder comes in. So these are all the fields that you can go. There are many more fields, but whatever I find that's the most important, I've included it here. Now you should decide where should you go, what field do you like. On the surface level, I told you what's fascinating and what you might be knowing, because hacking is a very cool thing. Hacking is a thrill that you can have in your life, because development is very common. If you choose something different, it's good for you. Like if you want to do it, if you are ready to take the challenge, then it's up to you. And by the time you choose what you should do, what you should take, learn all these things, because it's common for everything. Like OWASP top 10 is the list of most common vulnerabilities or issues or attacks that that happen around the world in every year. Every 3 years, they release a list of top 10 attacks uh, according to reports, according to statistics that are happening all around the world. And knowing that, you will approximately know 90% of all the attacks that you will be doing in your manual penetration testing. So that's very important. OWASP is a open source web application security project. You can search it on the web, owasp.org, and you can learn everything from them. Learn to operate tools, because it's not that if I talk about manual, that everything is manual. You should know to use tools, because tools are made and they are made to make your task easier. You should not create your tools yourself, because these tools will involve the mindset of a developer, and you can't be a developer and a hacker at the same time. You need to switch your mind and uh, reverse your methodology at every point. So you can make your own tools according to the use case for a single use, but learn to operate them, learn to use the command line. That's very important, because in hacking, you will not get GUIs everywhere. You will not get user interfaces, fancy buttons and drop downs, etc. You will get the tools. You will need to learn to use the command line to run those tools, to supply arguments, to redirect outputs and redirect inputs, etc. So learn to use them and make projects. So whenever I talk about getting a job in cybersecurity, the projects are very important. Even myself, I have took many interviews. I have reviewed resumes of people applying for a job. I've tried to hire people in my company, but some of the time I feel that projects are very important, because they don't have any. They don't have hands-on experience on uh, their use, what is hacking. Like they haven't developed any software like a malware scanner or a firewall or anything like that. So just develop something that you think that it's valuable to you, because once you get hands-on experience, then it's very easy to get a job. Just to know the theory and just to know the definitions of everything will not suffice. It is never enough. So learning is important, but it's not enough. So you should do it. Solve a problem, like what market is facing, what you should do to fulfill the gap. Just explore and research what is lacking and work on that. Contribute to open source, because all the projects that we use, all the tools that we use in hacking are open source. Most of them are open source. Like if I talk about a sample tool like SQL map, it's command line based. It's installed in many Linux distributions. So SQL map is used to identify uh, a vulnerability called SQL injection, and it's very critical. It will give you access to the server without logging in or without any authentication to the server. So contribute to open source, contribute to projects like this. It will count as a project. So combine cybersecurity with machine learning, all the hot topics that are currently booming, like machine learning, blockchain, cloud security. I I myself talk about, if I talk about myself, I created a final project that was based on cybersecurity integrated with machine learning. We created a firewall that can block attacks like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, by learning all the attack vectors, all the payloads, uh, all the common signatures that will count as an issue of SQLi. And then we tried to submit an arbitrary payload that was not in the list in the training model, and it identified that. So just think like that. Take it as a reference, use the same thing, and develop as much as you think, and automate the recurring task, because you will not waste much time of yours, because time is money. You will not waste time much on automated task or task which happens every day or every time and doesn't make any difference every time. So I again stress on this: learn to Google stuff for yourself, because that's very important. You will not be spoon feeded for anything in cybersecurity, because I told you, no one teaches ethical hacking in colleges and schools. You have to learn it yourself. You will have to watch people doing it. You will have to learn from YouTube, uh, from Google articles, etc. But that's not enough. You should become a reader, because what books will teach you, no one else can. Not even an article, not even a YouTube channel, not even a video, because they are there to gain views. So they will make videos which can gain views, because I myself is a YouTuber. I will tell you the truth, but I try to tell the truth, and I try to force you to be professional, because books have everything in detail. You cannot even get uh, many articles and combine them to just suffice for a book. That's not the case, because you first at the first place, you don't know what all to know. So that's why try to learn. I'm not saying don't watch videos, because you should watch them, because they tell you exactly what you need to know for a particular topic, but not in detail. So you decide what's the use case. GitHub is the repository for open source tools. So all of the exploitation tools and payloads and what all things that you need to know to do the penetration test are all available in GitHub. So you need to be familiar with that, not the version control, but just to use the GitHub and download tools and use them. That's the only thing. Bug bounty programs. So bug bounty means what I was talking about, that one or the other day we come to hear about this news that this Indian guy has found a huge bug in Facebook. So how does it work? Like if I talk about bug bounty, that's the same thing. So what companies do is, instead of hiring dedicated professionals for securing systems, they outsource their vulnerability management programs to global hackers for global expertise, and they ask hackers to join their program and try to find issues in their applications. So whenever we find issues as an individual researcher, we'll report to that company, and that company, after verification, will reward us if it's valid. So you should look at this case in this way: like if I hire a dedicated person, I will have to pay him regularly, even if there is no issue in my system. But for a particular case, if I outsource it, I will fix the issue and get it over with. Like it is one time payment, but it is huge. But for a company's perspective, it does save time and money. That's why they do that. And you can also do it hybrid, like open source or outsource some of your applications to bug bounties and some of them to internal penetration testers, because you don't want to expose them to external parties. That's why. So these are the most common platforms where you can do bug bounties. You have a great opportunity to find bugs in big companies and even get paid in millions at a single time. for Buckraut, HackerOne, and Integrity. There are many more, but these are very common. I'm not sugarcoating the words. I'm saying that you can earn millions, but it requires a lot of hard work, a lot of patience, a lot of experience in this field. So it's not easy. It looks like easy at the first glance, but it's not. But you can do that. Never mind. So capture the flags. These are also a different kind of thing, because whenever you try to do bug bounties, it's based on real world applications. So the applications that are already deployed in production, you are testing on them. But for capture the flags, they are a simulation. You can learn about a single technique, like for example, SQLi, SQL injection, cross-site scripting. For a single issue, you can simulate an environment that's dedicated to finding an issue, that's made in this way to deliberately make you find that the issues are embedded or injected into these environments that are created, and you can practice particular skills in them, and they are very helpful. For hands-on experience, they are very helpful, and I've listed the platforms like Hack Me, Hack the Box. You can practice them, but once you start doing them, you will love them, I'm sure. And attend conferences. There are many conferences throughout the world that are happening, where top researchers discuss their recent findings, recent researches, like someone has found a 0-day issue in Google or Facebook that can hack, that can lead to misuse of confidential data of your user. Like the data that is breached for Facebook, that's not only Facebook's data, that's our data. So ultimately the loss is ours. So that's why it's very important to secure systems. So DEF CON, Black Hat, they're happening in USA, so you can't go there at first, but you can attend local conferences like OWASP, NULCON, etc. that happens in India. Join the forums, talk with people. Networking is very important. How will you know what you need to know? Ask people who already are doing it. Ask people, develop or stay in the community like Stack, Reddit, Discord. There are many channels. Join and talk to people, listen to them, discuss what you need to learn and what you should do in order to have a good career, and contribute to it. Just when you take the advice, give it to other person who wants it. So don't just do it one way, don't do it a UDP way, do it the TCP way. And learning will never stop. I must say, there's no end to it. When you start it, you'll just go on, and even after 50 years, there's no stopping that. And you will know that, because technology is ever evolving, and even the attacks are ever evolving. When I say that this cybersecurity has no official career, or sorry, official training in colleges, etc., in universities, so there are certifications that you can do in this field. Certification means there is a systematic study for a particular skill. Like I have done certified ethical hacker. So these certifications are very renowned, and companies look for the certification specifically to hire you, because most of the job postings or job descriptions specifically mention which type of certifications is required for this job, like CEH or OSCP, EJPT. They are very renowned certifications. So if you do even a single of them or even two of them, that's really great, because you do a systematic study. You'll get a industry recognized certificate that you can show that you are a certified hacker. There's a stamp of certified hacker. But for skill part, it's always you. They will only get you to the interview. They will only shortlist you for an interview. But in an interview, it's only you and him or the interviewer. So only your skills will matter at that time. Your certification will not matter. So just do it for your own expertise or for your own skill development, and don't expect to get a job straight away with the certifications. But the most common which I can recommend is CEH, is wanted in India. It's the most popular in India. And after that, if you want to escalate the level, you can do e-learn security, EJPT. And even up above that, there is OSCP, that is very well known and hyped up certification, and it deserves it. And it's very technical and it's hands-on completely. For networking, you can do, because networking is very important. I told you it's not necessary to do a networking certification, but you can do that if you want to ascertain that you have learned and you want a proof of that. So CCNA is the most common for Cisco. Even CompTIA offers Network Plus. So if you can do any one of them, that's more than enough. You don't have to go even a level up. For Linux, you can do Red Hat Certified Administrator, RHCSA. That's a basic one that I have done. But I will not recommend you to do a Linux certification, because that doesn't help me. That hasn't helped me much in my career. So I don't know, but if you want to do that, you're most welcome to do it. But just make sure that it doesn't take up much of your time while you are learning ethical hacking. And if I talk about careers, I talked about roadmaps, how you can do that. But people don't get the exact idea if I don't talk about the numbers, the exact numbers, what you will get if you to start a career in hacking. So just to state the exact numbers, according to a report, there will be 7 million ethical hackers required in India by 2025. I must tell you that the number was 3.5 million in 2021, but it just became double by the 2025 report. So it's predicted, and it's more or less the same. It can go up. It it is very less chance that it will go down, but more or less is the number. And you can think like, how many are we getting? How many are we actually getting? It's not even 2 million by this time. So it's very high. The need is high, and you know the difference, you know the importance. I don't want to talk about the exact salary figures because it's very subjective, but on a higher level, on a surface level, if I talk about the numbers, you can get these numbers when you start it for a beginner or a fresher. If you join in a good company, I will not say in an MNC like Facebook, Amazon, they offer a very good salary in the beginning too. But if I talk about some good companies in India also, not service based, product based companies, you can easily get 4 to 5 LPA in the starting. And if you have experience, everything just builds up with your experience, because that's what company wants from you. So even after 5 to 10 years, you can even get more than 15 LPA, even more than 30 LPA, depending upon the role. For the role of security architect is even more than 30 LPA, or for the role of CISO, that's the most higher level for an infosec department of a company. For the CISO, you can even get 40 LPA plus in India. And in foreign, it's much more. In India, it's still need to identify the awareness of this field, because people don't know much about it and they don't offer many jobs about it. And they are slowly realizing this importance when they are seeing data breaches and cyber attacks these days. So for US or for other regions of the world, this is the basic salary that you can get. And it's not that big of a salary. When you talk about when you are living in US, this might not make up much. But when you are living in India, because nowadays remote jobs are very common, so if you are living in India, you will get a salary that is very competitive. That is very you might not have to pay the burden of renting a house or having food, etc., on your own. So it's very common to have a work from home job in this state for cybersecurity. It's very common. So it's very advantageous for all people who want to hack systems for good. Like I said at the first, if you are online, you are vulnerable. You have to think like that. Like every time someone asks you about mobile number or your email or your even your Aadhaar card number, you should think who is the other person, because in online there is a curtain between you and the person against you who is talking to you. Like you don't know the person. Even if your friend is talking to you on WhatsApp, you don't know who is the other person that's talking to you. It's your friend or someone else. So there is a curtain between you and him, and you don't know what's going on and what is actually running in your mobile phone, what data it's taking, data privacy, and what is the most important thing in today's world. It's data. It's the most important and the most expensive thing. Even if you get someone else's data, you can blackmail them. If you sell the data in markets, in black markets online, you can get huge amounts of money. And many black hat hackers do that. They sell data. They are breached from many big companies like LinkedIn, etc. Recently many of them have happened. Actually, in the past few years, many data breaches have happened. Even on Google has happened. uh, and there are many more cyber attacks like WannaCry back in 2017. And also these days, many technical zero-day issues have found out, like Log4Shell, Spring4Shell. All of these are the expertise or the technical skills of a black hat hacker. It was not actually a black hat hacker because it was reported, but I will say you should stay safe online. And if you build a career into this, you will make people aware. You will yourself be aware of the privacy, of the security of online systems, and you will not fall fool or fall prey to this notorious activities of black hat hacking. So what does it take to become a hacker? Programming is important straight away. have a hacker's mindset and be verbose. Be verbose in your own terms, like be very open, be very vocal about whatever you know. Like you should not learn a single topic in a single article and know, just pretend to know everything. You'll have to dig deeper, you will have to try harder, you'll have to know the very basics or the conceptual level of how it works. So don't talk much, listen more, talk less. That's my motive. And that's what I told you, to know about others, not about yourself, and to know the mindset of other people. Logical thinking is important. That's why I told us CS background has inherently developed this logical thinking, and programming is the one that you should look for to develop a logical mindset. That's where it comes. And don't learn it all, but know it all. You should know, like you should know how the code works. You should know how the flow is going on, how the functions are working, but not learn it all. Like not just master programming, not just master React, Angular, PHP, any type of programming languages. You don't have to learn it. You will not be able to learn it because there are endless learning paths. So don't forget the soft skills, because when you apply for a job, teamwork is important, curiosity is important. Without curiosity, you cannot you cannot grow. You will just think like, it's my job, I should do that. It's not your personal learning or your personal development that's important. Without curiosity, it will not lead you to any learning. So that's what I think. And communication is very important with people, how you develop, how you interact with developers with the mindset that is different from yours. So many more things are important, but you can know all of them once you come into this field. I cannot tell anything or everything into this slide or in this session. So if you want to know more things, you can contact me, or you can join my YouTube channel if you want. If you want to have more insight into this field, I regularly share guidance and uh, technical concepts you should need to know. So you can follow me on that. And like I said, hacking is a creative field. You should be creative through your mind and not your hands. Curiosity is important, mindset is important, thought process is important. And just to make sure, like, you make people understand what your work is. It's not illegal, it's not a criminal activity. You do it for good. You save millions of dollars for a company, you save millions of dollars of a reputable organization is keeping your data, or the data that is very confidential and sensitive for the entire world. uh, Internally, they have many big security programs the companies won't tell us, or Google doesn't have any public security opening in India, but they do hire people who are very experienced, because Google has many responsibilities and the data at stake is far more from confidential. So that's how it's done. It will take time. The most common problem in our generation is patience. So have patience. You will know everything, and you will do many great things in this field if you start it. That's all I have. Thank you for listening to me and bearing my voice. And if you have any questions, you can ask if we have time, but I don't know. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, sir. That session was very informative and very wonderful. And now I have some questions from my side. How will we get internships and job in this cybersecurity?
Like you get internships and jobs in any other field in computer science. Like if I talk about openings, I will choose LinkedIn as my first choice. I will create a job alert like security analyst, security engineer. These are the common terms that are opened by companies and named by companies in the most common terms. Like they will not have ethical hacking as a job opportunity. I will choose most popular location like Hyderabad, Bangalore, even Pune. So location is not a preference, because nowadays work from home is very prevalent. Many companies are offering security programs remotely. So LinkedIn is my first choice. Actually, the job I got was from LinkedIn only. So I submitted resume to the company and they shortlisted, and they had some interviews, like six to seven interviews, and I got the job. So LinkedIn will be the first choice. And I also have profiles on Indeed and on Glassdoor. But for internships, if you ask about internships, I will choose Internshala. There are not many internships for cybersecurity, even in Internshala, but you have to be active on forums, on Discord servers, because regularly people post on the opportunities. And one thing I would like to tell you is that if you want to start in cybersecurity, be active on Twitter, because there are many great researchers who have found many big issues in companies, have very good reputation in this field. They post regularly their findings on Twitter, what type of issue it was, what's the technicality, what's the soft skill that's required, what are the opportunities that you can get as a job or internship. So Twitter might be your best bet to even get a job after LinkedIn.
Okay, so you mean LinkedIn is the main platform where we should be active, and Twitter as well.
Exactly.
So, what are the courses? Like, are there any courses that we need to take in order to, brush our skills in cybersecurity?
There are many courses, many people, many specific companies have brought up courses to make you learn cybersecurity, because what I think is cybersecurity is a very general term. It is very subjective to talk about a specific field in cybersecurity. So you might not be able to learn everything in a cybersecurity course, because you will have to know what is your preference. Like what should I need to learn, like web application security. It's my preference. What I like to do is web app pen testing. Someone else will like to do network pen testing. Someone else will think of mobile applications. So it's very subjective. I will always say that you learn on your own. Google is your best friend. Just open up your search term like web application security tutorial or courses, or you will need to know what you should know, like I said. So just know what you should know and individually search on those topics. Individually search for the courses on those topics. Don't rely on a single course. You will not learn everything on a single course. I will say to follow a backtrack approach. Like first, go on a course and try to learn from it. And once you stuck in any topic, like you don't understand a single term like pen testing or engagement, backtrack and start learning on its own. Start learning on that term again. And even if you don't get something on that term, start to learn on that term again. So just recurse your way out, and you will be good, because you need to fill up all the voids here, because it's very vast, it's very distributed. The resources are not well managed even on Google nowadays. So what we are trying to do is to have a significant and a comprehensive learning path, and make people understand in India, especially where there is no much guidance on this field, and have some courses that can have as much as they want. But I will only focus on self-learning as per my advice.
Okay, so matlab, we have to do the try hack me and hack the boxes to brush our skills up.
Yeah, for practical and hands-on practicing, it's the best I can say for capture the flag. But if you want to learn in theoretical way, you should know the concepts. Like I said, OWASP Top 10 is a good resource, and Portsbigger Academy is also a good resource for learning. Wikipedia will also tell you much about it, but I will also recommend books to learn theoretical concepts. The books are the best way you can.
Okay, sir, can you give us some resume building tips?
Um, I uploaded a video some time ago over the topic where I reviewed some resumes for cybersecurity. The most common thing I noticed is people don't have much preference on projects. And like I said, projects are very important, because for a particular job profile, they look for the projects and they will want you to show them the project. They want you to link the project to open source. They want you to give them a link, and they will try to assess it and use it themselves, and actually know that you have created it. So projects are important, and work experience, it may be there, it might not be there. It's very important to do internships at some point, because if you don't have any experience, it's very hard to get a job. Because we know the current situation, like they want experienced people. They want someone to get into their company, but they don't want fresher. If we are freshers, how can we get a job? So it's very important to have projects, experience, and some certifications. So certifications is very important, because there is no systematic study or curriculum in a college degree to have those skills. So that's why certifications teaches you. And the most common is CEH. I have done it, and I have done it because I know that it will get me a job. And it actually, I will not say on the basis of CEH only I got the job, but it was a very big factor on that. So I will recommend all these things.
Okay, so sir, we have a question here. Nowadays, phishing and frauds are very common. So how to avoid all these if one gets caught in such a trap, and then how to come out?
learn from your mistakes. That's the most common thing that you can do. If once you are caught in that, uh, be suspicious on everything online that you do. Just make sure whatever are you're doing it your open mind. Like today, it's very common that people are getting caught into these activities, and we are trying to aware them to don't share your OTPs and don't share your UPI IDs, etc. Because there are many frauds going on, online transactions, and even stealing the Facebook passwords, etc. And even I tried to do it at some point, and people were still caught in that practice. But what I feel is, you should be aware of this practice. We are trying to aware people, even if you don't get into the career, even if you don't want to have a job, have a basic knowledge of how frauds are being done, how the URL are changing, how the interface is changing when someone is trying to phish you. Always download, always open applications from trusted sources. Like for Android is the Play Store. And also, if you are using a browser, make sure there are no unwanted extensions or no unwanted libraries that you are like installing from only from the Chrome Web Store. Install it, or also from the Firefox Store. Install only from them, and have a good antivirus in your system. And some extension that I can suggest is to use Netcraft in your browser. It will detect by default any phishing page that is that you are trying to open, and it will alert you of that. So these all practices are required, and just be aware and alert.
Okay. So, sir, we also have one more question. What project can we make related to cybersecurity, or which can help us in becoming a security analyst or a tester?
Okay. There are many project ideas. I tell people that you can try to ease up your task. For example, if for a college project, I will prefer a firewall or something. You develop a firewall, a network level firewall, or a web application firewall. It's your choice. But I made a firewall with machine learning. That's my final year project. I also made some applications with secure coding, and I also made some projects like to uh, specifically scrape out all the articles of security articles from Medium or from HackerOne, etc. That was also my project. So if you want to develop a simple project, go for a tool. Like try to simulate SQL map. That's a tool for detecting SQL injection. Or try to simulate an application like Burp Suite. Burp Suite is an application to test web application. Try to simulate that. Try to develop a proxy. Uh, Try to develop an antivirus scanner or a malware scanner. A signature-based scanner is very common, but if you try to develop a behavior-based scanner, that's very valuable in this machine learning AI field. So all of these project ideas, but I will say that if you want to get ideas, you will have to just first come into this field and know the requirement, know the market, how it's going. And there are many possibilities. I cannot tell everything because you will not understand it. You'll go up to your mind. So that's the case.
Okay. So, we have one more question. Uh, yeah, Abhishek says that he has gone through many courses of your paid bit in tech, but it is also available in internet for free. So how do you deal with piracy?
I actually am not dealing with piracy. I'm letting people to pirate it because, in my opinion, is when I develop a course, I developed it 2 years ago, and there are three parts of that course. I myself deliberately allowed the first part to get pirated because I thought by pirating my course itself, people will come to know about my course. People will come to know how I teach, and that has worked for me because they have took my second and third part after that, and even the whole course after that. So I don't regret any part of it because I know the second and third part are very well protected and secure. They are not pirated as of yet. I seriously hope not, but that's the case. I'm not regretting on this. I deal with piracy by allowing it to happen, uh, and it really works out for me. Like Telegram, I've seen very many instances of this, like people telling me that your course has been leaked and what you should do in that. I don't do anything in that because I know people will get to know, and eventually they'll have to buy the course because I will keep making them. I'll keep making the courses and try to teach people. They know me, they know my teaching, and I also take live classes. So for just for the purpose of live class, They are forced to take the course. That's my thinking.
Okay. So, do we have any other question from the audience? You can ask. Raghav asks that which government organizations uh, provide jobs in cybersecurity?
As far as I know, government provides internships in cybersecurity. Like there are many cyber cells who regularly provide openings for internships. Like recently, we had Gurugram Police offering internships for summer for students. There are many cyber cells across the India who provide. But for a job, I'm not sure you can get it directly, because a job in government, it's very difficult to state that how many skills are required for that. If you want to get job in government, you will be working with the FBI, you'll be working in the with the raw and all the reputed positions, so it's very confidential, and they don't post openly these positions. No one applies openly. They hire someone from the inside who is already in this government field, who is already in police department, or for example, you can also go by giving some civil services exam like UPSC and all, but that's a very long path. So I'll say have some source first, have some government background first, and start working into this field. But yeah, if you work in a private organization, it's not very easy to get into government field. That's a tricky question.
Okay. So, any other questions? Okay, so I think all your doubts have been cleared regarding ethical hacking and cybersecurity. So now we have come to an end to this session. So I would request all the office bearers to please turn your cameras on so that we can get a nice screenshot of the session. Office bearers, please turn on your cameras. Okay, so now I would request the audience to turn on your cameras as well. All right, so that's a wrap. And thank you so much, sir, for taking time off your schedule and joining us here for this session. And all the best for your future.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure joining my own college for a session.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining, and see you next time.